Next up, let's go with Zadie. Zadie, are you ready for the next? I'll share your presentation from my computer.
Okay, cool.
All right, so Zadie is going to be up next, and she is presenting about Angela Davis.
Is it up?
Yes, one moment. All right. All right, you're good to go, Zadie.
Okay, cool. So I picked Angela Davis because she's one of my favorite activists. Also because she was very outspoken and the ways that she chose to fight for equality and what she stood for. She was born in Birmingham, Alabama, which was a very controversial spot where she was from. It was known to have a lot of violence and a lot of prejudice against Black people especially. She was an author of a number of works, a bit too many to state in this presentation, but she was known for her signature afro and her outspoken personality. When asked about her stance on violence and what the Black Panthers were doing at the time, Angela Davis said, "You asked me whether I approve of violence. It just doesn't make sense at all. Whether I approve of guns, I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama. Some very, very good friends of mine were killed by bombs that were planted by racists. I remember from the time that I was very small, the sound of bombs exploding across the street, the house shaking. That's why when someone asks me about violence, I find it incredibly demeaning because it means that the person asking me the question has absolutely no idea what Black people have gone through and experienced in this country. For the first time, from the first Black person to be kidnapped from the shores of Africa." Her stance on violence was very strong. She did own guns and stuff because she believed that it was her right to protect herself, especially if the police weren't going to do so for her. This resulted in her getting arrested later on in her life because a gun that she owned was used in a murder and kidnapping. The FBI decided to pin that on her, say that she killed the judge, and due to that, there was such a large cry of outrage, not just in our country, but in 67 other countries calling for her to be released from jail, that even famous singers like wrote songs about her in order to get her free, and in 16 months she was able to go to trial, which actually was a long time for such a high-profile trial that was going on. And her jury was all white, but because of the public, they were able to get her off on a non-guilty verdict, which was actually a huge step, even though the FBI had tried very hard to pin something that she never did on her. Yeah. Any other questions?
I've got a question. Zadie, this is Jamie. When was she put in jail? What was the time frame of that?
She was jailed in a women's incarceration in California for 16 months, which was all served in solitary.
So Zadie, I'll ask a question. I think you kind of mentioned this, like sometimes people come back. Angela Davis, instead of her afro is a distinctive look. I mean, can you talk about why her afro was especially significant at the time?
Yeah, a lot of the times African American women are told that our hair is too chaotic and looks untidy and messy. So her showing her natural hair and being proud of it created a more accepting environment for her, because a lot of times Black women were pressured to straighten their hair in order to conform to white society.
All right, thanks. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have. Zadie? Back to the question.
Yeah.
What songs are written about her?
A song with John. legend wrote called Angela is written about her and him wanting her to be released from prison. Yeah.
I've got another question, Zadie. This is Dr. Fran. How did the lawsuit and like her time in jail, how did that get resolved? And how did she spend the later years of her life? Is she still alive?
Well, it got resolved through a lot of public outrage and the media constantly talking about it, and it got so big that a lot of people started writing articles in like black magazines and like creating black papers around it. And yes, she is still alive and she does still do activist work and she even does like conferences and stuff still.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Okay, thanks, Zadie.